This is AssetRush Talk, where we talk with the pioneers of the financial industry. Today I'm here with Carlos from Finca, and please introduce yourself.
Yes, well, thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be at AssetRush this time. My name is Carlos Fernandez Mazzi. I am the partner and founder of Finca. And just in a summary, this is the fourth version of my professional life. I started as an investment banker, then I was a miner, real miner. I developed one of the largest zinc silver mines in the world. Then I went to philanthropy, where I ran the Clinton Foundation for Latin America, and now I'm in crypto finance.
That's wonderful. Now, you've been a shaper over this time of the industry. I've seen many projects of you, wonderful projects. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So what drives you?
What drives me is to make a difference, to have an impact. And in this case, as we discussed, we believe in the convergence of the traditional economy and crypto finance. Not only for the speculative and some people see it as money-making side, but I believe in the impact that this can have, and it is impact for the democratization of capital, the financial inclusion, and the facilitation of capital flows. So I believe that with technology and with the right use of technology, now that we have seen some fiascos that happen, but we believe seriously that blockchain technology is the future of finance, and we hope that 5-10 years from now we'll be able to say that we contributed with a grain of sand.
So you contribute to this diversification and to that democratization of this industry. Now, how do you see your products having the effect that you're creating now? Or talk a bit about your products first.
Well, I come from the developing world. Okay, so I think that sets the stage for the way I look at things. Here in the developed world, in Europe, in the US, financing is relatively simple. You do follow the steps, you do the paperwork, and if you have a good idea, good project, normally you will get financing. In the developing world, it's not the case. It is very, very difficult to have access to capital, financing projects, etc. So that's what I have seen throughout my life, how difficult it is to have the spark of financing for very good ideas, very good projects. So when you ask me, what my contribution is basically trying to this juncture or convergence of the real economy, the real assets, earning assets, with crypto finance to facilitate the flows and facilitate in creating new investment alternatives for savers or for the common investor, as well as having more and different types of financing alternatives for the productive sector.
Now you created some wonderful use cases. Let's talk a bit about that.
Yes, one of the best value creators on earth is a cow, and yet there's no financial instruments directly related to this great value creation. A cow converts grass into protein, and that protein becomes milk or beef, and that is cash. And you repeat and repeat and repeat. And yet, if you want to invest in cattle ranching, you either have to go to be very rich and own a ranch, or go to the commodities market, etc. But it's very, very difficult to be able to do that. So we narrowed down to the minimum common denominator, and we tried, and we did really create a financial instrument that gives the token holder the rights to the revenue share of that underlying asset, which is a cattle herd. As simple as that sounds, obviously there's a lot behind in the financial engineering, the legal, the compliance, jurisdictions, etc. But in the end, bottom line is that I could have, or we could have, an investor in Asia invest in our tokens through our token and get the benefits of cattle ranching in Latin America. I think that sounds wonderful, but beyond that, it really is a revolution of how money should move.
Yes, certainly is. But let's talk a bit more about the financial engineering, because that was very, very interesting. In your case, it took you a while to get the token launched and also get productive on that. And now you are. a couple years in. So tell us a bit about how it built up, and then maybe also what the effects are now.
Yes. We started at the first implosion or second implosion of Bitcoin, when I was focused on crypto finance, etc.
First crypto winter.
Implosion back then.
Okay.
Or second or third, but it was back in 2017.
Yeah.
And obviously, everybody was in disaster because they thought Bitcoin went down from 20,000 to 6,000 or 4,000. And it's the end of this, but we had the conviction and belief of the underlying technology, not the speculative side of this. And because of my background, we firmly believed that the technology was going to hold as long as you had credible, tangible, real assets.
Yes.
So we went out and looked at how do we look at this technology, and what would be an underlying asset that really is simple to understand, to invest in, and to really show that things can be done. And that's how we ended up in cattle ranching, because, as I said, a cow is the best value creator. Everybody understands. You don't have to, explain what a cow is or what beef is or what milk is. Maybe you need to understand how it converts and how it becomes valuable. But I think that is the underlying asset that we brought out as a financial instrument into a token. And because of the limitations on either the financing side or the legal side or the compliance side, we ended up with a very innovative concept, which is a revenue share token. It's not equity, it's not debt, but it's like a royalty concept. So as long as there's a cattle in the herd, then the token holder gets a benefit. So that is the secret sauce, let's say, that we did a financial instrument that is neither equity nor debt, and yet gives you the rights to future flows of the underlying asset. So that, in essence, is what we did. And it has been very satisfying, very, very challenging. We are very proud to say that even though we led this idea and this whole undertaking, we are very proud that this is the product of collaboration of the best players in the crypto valley, including yourself and AssetRush. And it's been a long road, long journey. And I would like to say also that it has not been everything rosy and fantastic. One of the things that went wrong or did not evolve as we expected was the market evolution.
Yeah.
Back when we started in 2018, 2019, when we launched, there was going to be security token exchanges. Everybody was fighting for the space. We got offered here and there that they could distribute the token, etc. But in the end, today, there's no security token markets anywhere. Everybody's still talking about it. There's no distribution of security tokens. And everything is still today, as it was 3-4 years ago, as a market. It's cryptocurrencies, NFTs now, and some utility tokens, whatever are the ones that survive. But real security tokens that represent a digital financial instrument that is compliant, that is honest, that is transparent, I think we're one of the few. I
would agree with you. And I wanna talk some more on that point, because how was now that journey with the token? How was the performance? How did that turn out? How was the distribution of these earnings to the investors?
Well, yeah. So the first stage was from concept to launch, and from concept to launch was very hard work, lots of investment on our part in terms of money, sweat and tears. And we got to the launch and we started selling. We had sold to private investors in the hope that, starting with private investors, we would have the public markets go and we would be one of the. Yes. Today, there's no market. We are still with private investors, and happily, our investors have received their dividends or their returns for 3 years in a row. So as the FTX thing imploded last year, we are very, very proud to say that this validated our concept even more. Yeah. 2 things. Number 1, our token maintained its value.
Sure.
A humble one franc per token, but it's stable because the underlying asset is there.
Plus interest.
And in December, our investors received their share of revenues for the 3rd year in a row. 3rd year in a row, constant at not great return, but a good, decent 4 or 5% return per year in Swiss franc. So we don't want to go to the multi-million noise and we just go and deliver on our promises. And I tell you that the FTX fiasco in the end has validated our value proposition, that if you have an underlying asset, you can put a bit of technology on it and make it a financial instrument that people should trust, should invest, and should be a model for other types of financial instruments in the future.
A trustworthy investment, completely decorrelated.
Uncorrelated, exactly.
Uncorrelated from the financial markets.
Yeah.
And now you're taking it a notch further. Now you're going with new products in.
Two things there. Number one, and going back to the fact that what did not happen, that there's no market, and we don't expect for the markets or for exchanges to happen anytime soon. If they happen, fantastic, we will be at the forefront. However, we see so much value that is created, especially on where we are on the land. Now, what we're going to do is two things. Under the Finca brand, we want to create a marketplace, not an exchange, but a marketplace, in which we are going to issue more tokens of the likes of the Finca token related to cattle. We are now working on a token that is already underway. It's a grain token. It's going to be the agri token, and the underlying asset is is basically crop financing, because you invest in the planting, and in the end you have a self-liquidating instrument that upon harvest you will get your return. So as compared to the Finca token, in which is a longer term investment, because it's a cattle herd and there's the operation of cattle, in this one you go in month 1 and then you go out month 6 with your return, depending on the crop. So it's a more liquid, short-term, self-liquidating asset, and we're right now working on the financial engineering, just like the other one, so that we get investors that will be able to have that opportunity. So we were going to have, under the Finca marketplace, we're going to have livestock tokens, we're going to have grain tokens, we're going to have beef tokens. That's the dream. That's where we're going. One step at a time.
Oh, wonderful.
Commodities in general, yeah.
Commodities in general, yeah. And now you also have partners with this. You have several people that support you in this, from the banking side as well. Can you talk about that?
Well, we started this idea with my two sons. I challenged them because I was a bit bored, and they're very bright mathematicians. And I said, listen, let's go into this crypto thing. So we started this dream of Finca with my kids, and it has evolved to what it is today. But and there's two things. One, we came to Switzerland for a number of coincidences and reasons, and we came probably to the most difficult market, compliance-wise and cost-wise, etc. But we came here for the main reason that if you're going to do a financial instrument, there's no better jurisdiction, location, and framework, etc. than this one. So we decided to go the hard way rather than going the easy way and try to get some coders in. I'm not going to name any countries, but you can do things for peanuts, and all of a sudden come a token, promote it, sell it, dump it, and you're out, which is what happened. We went the hard way. So we started with this, and when we came here, obviously, to create one big structure was impossible. So we started, the partnerships, the alliances on the legal side, on the technology side, on the accounting, finance, etc. So we assembled a number of companies that we worked with, and in the end, as I said before, we are very proud that this is the product of the collaboration of a number of players. I don't want to say names right now because I'm going to miss a few, but they have all been fantastic. And I tell you also that we have all learned in the process. Nobody had the black-white solution. We were all learning, but it has been very, very, very rewarding because we have learned in the process, and right now we have a template that we can copy, replicate, and scale into the future, hopefully.
Can you pinpoint one of the experiences that was most valuable to you?
Well, first of all, we came here to the first summit in Zug.
Yeah.
And that's where we met a number of people.
That was the VC summit.
The VC, CBVC, VC summit, yeah. And we met Ralph Glavishnik, who actually was the cornerstone of our introduction to the market. He believed in us more than in the concept or the theory behind what we were trying to do. But I think we developed a very personal relationship of trust, and he gave us all the support, opening up the doors, etc. I met you along the way, and certainly we presented at the first AssetRush. We presented the Finca token,
Yes.
very proudly, and yeah. So it was the event, the networking, the people, and the support that we had, and the only thing again related to the things that did not go very well are the systemic things about distribution. The distribution was tough. Publicly, we promoted, in all possible ways, and in the end, we just have private investors that we have, but that's a systemic issue that I think will change sooner rather than later.
I'm sure as well, and it didn't do you any harm so far. You
No.
actually continued building.
No, definitely.
Made you stronger.
Stronger, yeah. More stubborn.
More stubborn. That's always good. So you've been talking about this ecosystem already. Now tell us a bit more what you see in the markets, what is happening, maybe also what impressed you so far, other developments in the space that you maybe want to collaborate or that you just admire for their work.
Well, I think overall it's very good news because I see that there's a great need to innovate and to find new financial instruments and to somehow, untangle the financial sector from the old ways into new ways. And of the good things that have happened, we have very good positioning globally as Finca. I mean, not necessarily as investors, they may be investors, but a lot of people know about the Finca project, the Finca token, the Finca concept, and to this day, nobody has told us what a stupid idea yet. So everybody is very, very, they approve of the concept, and they say, wow, yeah, well, this can be applied here and there and there. So the feedback that we get is very, very positive, very encouraging, not only for ourselves as a product, but rather as seeing and identifying the possibilities of different industries and different players. And I think that, and I hope that this opportunity of AssetRush will open the eyes of institutional investors to come and say, yes, this is worth pursuing, this is worth looking into. Not everything is a fiasco, not everything is, a fraud. In fact, I think we can replicate many of the good practices of a good, sound business and just put a bit of technology, put a bit of crypto on it, and then make it more marketable. So I think that beyond our own efforts, we have been talking to a number of people in the region in Latin America. There's great advancements in Brazil. There's the big bank in Brazil that wants to work alongside with us. Obviously, they can do it themselves, but they want to see a bit of innovation that can collaborate with their teams. And so I think that eventually there's going to be we're still on the learning curve, but there will be a tipping point in which I hope everybody copies our business model, right? Absolutely. It's not that I want to have my, a lot of people tell us, why don't you patent that? And I said, first of all, it would be very difficult. Second, it's very expensive. And the third, for what? I mean, the fact that I patent the Finca token doesn't make anybody any good, except my ego probably. But really, if we leave it open, and if people want to copy that for pork, for poultry, for cats, whatever it is, that any value creation process that can get a new financial instrument, that's good for everyone, for investors, for savings, and for investment. So I see that there is great need. Unfortunately, these problems happen, like what we saw last year at the end of last year, and it happened to be crypto, and the whole industry went down the tubes. When that fraud could have happened with stamps
in any other industry.
In any other industry. So I think we're going to get over, and we are. I'd like to think that our value proposition is correct, is valid. It has been reaffirmed, and now we will go to the next. We have a track record, 5 years working with a number of players that can say, listen, this is a new instrument, whatever it is, our agricultural token. We're going to be the agri token or any other one that we do. Fine. It has to have the whole compliance, financial reasoning that you have with any other instrument. Crypto doesn't make finance.
Absolutely.
All we do is just enhancing with crypto. Some people think that because of crypto, finance laws have changed. They have not changed. Finance 101, still 101, any way you see it. So I'm really hopeful, and I'm an ever optimist. And I think that with players like you and other people that are spearheading this process, as painful and as long as it seems, I think we will prevail.
Well, I really like that from the beginning. You're completely purpose-oriented. You're really thinking for the industry, and you're also thinking for the ecosystem. And I think that will resonate really well also with the AssetRush crowd. It did before, it will certainly again now. And maybe what do you want to transport to the ecosystem apart from that? Additionally to that, you're open to collaborate. You're certainly open that more of these endeavors can take place and move forward. You're certainly also there to support that diversification and the real asset situation. So what else will you address to the ecosystem?
Well, I think that overall, I think I mentioned it before, and at the risk of being repetitive, I think we need to think of impact, right? Mm-hmm. Some people worry about, environmental impact. Some other people worry about, health impact. I think we should focus on financial impact.
Yes.
And in financial impact in the democratization of capital, financial inclusion, and the enhancement of capital flows. If we can do that applying technology, it will be a game changer for the world over, right?
And it will stabilize also the economic system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that if we step up a little bit from the agri token or the Finca token or AssetRush or this and that, I think we need to look at what kind of impact we are going to have 10 years from now. And
which is certainly needed also in these times.
Exactly.
I mean, we have not unprecedented times, but we have certainly difficult times geopolitically and also with that economically, in fact. So certainly, I would say products like yours can help not only in the mechanical things, in the stabilization of these things, but actually also in the diversification for everyone, which is absolutely paramount in the situations today.
Yeah. No, definitely. As we said before, the convergence of real, reasonable earning assets with technology should become the future of finance, not just algorithms and this and that. If you combine both, it's like the evolution from the fax machine to email. I think in finance we have to see almost the same transition in which people will say, well, I'm not going back to fax.
Yeah,
right?
In fact, sure, not going back to fax, but also the fall in love with the device in this case, with the experience of this case, and maybe they also want to fall back in love with their investments and want to care about them, and maybe not only about the returns, but actually the effects that they're having.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because for our new agri token, what we would like to have is to have a mobile way for you to see your investment, not only in a photograph, because you can do a photograph, but actually if you invest 100 francs into our agri token, you will be able to see how the crop is going, how the commodity price is, and more or less where your investment is going. I think that should be cool, right?
Yeah,
it's not that it's guaranteed. I'm not guaranteeing that, but obviously when you're planting, your risk is 100% and your value is zero, right? Mm-hmm. Because all cost. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden you have the risk that goes down as the plant grows, and then you see a return, and you have the commodity price, you have to see the yield, and eventually you will see the projection of your investment. I think that would be useful to see for somebody that invests 100 francs, not a million. And so anyway, I think that those are the ways to give tangibility to the savers, to the investors, to the common investor, and technology allows for that.
That's a beautiful picture also for the future. What is your biggest wish today? What would you want the market to do?
I would like for the market to embrace technology on a financial side, right? If you look
The
at
democratization?
democratization, financial inclusion, everybody should be able to have access to the opportunities. Right?
Contribute, innovate.
Contribute, innovate, right? Because right now, even the private markets are just for the big boys.
Yeah.
Just for the big boys. And after the meal is over, then they open up the gates for the crumbs. I think that's, that can change. So if you're going to have an IPO, if you're going to have a new financial instrument, etc., via technology, it should be open for everyone. Not because you want to give it, it's just everybody should have the opportunity to do.
And finally, democratization should lead to
grassroots democratization of capital flows. If you want to invest here or they invest in you, etc., we should not have so many issues. When we started this, one tax authority said, Mr. Fernandez, why do you come to Switzerland to do this? I mean, why don't you just go to a bank, ask for a loan, and get it over with? Mm-hmm. And I said, listen, number one, if I go to a bank with any bank with a deal that is less than 100 million, I won't get in the door. Yes. Let's assume that I have a friend and I go in. And then I will tell them, listen, actually I have a project in Latin America. I'm going to be sent to the next room, Latin America. And then I'm going to say cattle ranching and Bolivia, ciao, no way.
Yeah.
So we have to look at alternatives. And I told this authority, I said, we need to look at alternatives in which I go directly to the potential investors with the opportunity. And it's their decision if they want to invest with us or not.
Yeah.
And that's in fact what we did. So that is the idea of the inclusion, not only from the project side, but also from the investor or the savers side, right? And in the end, that is what we did. And I hope that we can embrace technology, a bit more trust, and in one word, I would say I would love for the institutional investors to get out of their comfort zone. They're too happy where they are, and they don't take any risks. So you bring something that is a bit outside their comfort zone, it's easier to say no than to dig a bit deeper. And I think if they start looking at alternative financial instruments that have a bit of technology and a bit more, I wouldn't say risk, but a bit more
passion.
Yeah, why not?
Heart.
And they're not. The traditional banks are way too comfortable in the things they do. They do it the way they did it 40 years ago. And I think the world deserves better.
Well, and maybe also the investors that actually stand behind them, actually also feed our industry. They should maybe also be proud of what they're doing, and maybe they should also be served with products that that they really care for and that help them.
Yeah, because everything is people are sensitive to, let's say, environmental issues. Mm-hmm. Even if they're wrong, environmental sounds nice. Health issues, obviously, better health for everyone, but really they don't care about the financial impact of, let's say, what happens in Africa with microcredit and all these things, because all of a sudden the phone has become a bank account. Mm-hmm. And that is technology. Things like that can happen in different ways, like what we were trying to see. How do you unlock the value that nature gives you and bring it to the masses, not just to the banks that are there and the guys that sell equipment, right?
Sure.
So I think that you can unlock a lot of value. And if you tell me what I wish that the institutional investors get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
For new financial instruments.
And maybe a little bit away from the service and more into the asset itself.
That too. Yeah, that would help.
You hear a lot about the ecological footprint of cattle farming. So maybe a critical question at that point. How are you dealing with that? Or how is your view on this? I mean, I'm sure everybody that is listening and watching this is interested in that and what your view is on that.
Yeah, well, there is a movement, the vegans and vegetarians. And my first answer to that is that being a vegan is a luxury that the poor cannot afford. Being a vegan is a luxury that the poor cannot afford. Okay?
That's a very bold statement.
It is. If you go to any mother in the developing world, any mother in Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and ask her, if you were to feed your children and money is no object, what would you give them? They'll tell you eggs, milk, beef, repeat. They will not tell you we want more beans, we want more broccoli. No, that's what they have all day. They have beans, they have corn, they have this and that, they have rice. What they need is animal protein. And regardless of respectfully that people don't want to eat beef, etc., it's like with sugar. You have a choice. You can have white sugar, brown sugar, stevia, saccharin, etc. The same is with food. If people elect not to have beef, that's fine, no problem. But I tell you, the average consumption of protein, animal protein in the world is going to go up.
Sure it is. And maybe it should just be a bit better addressed and in the right way.
Well, talking about the environmental impact of cattle ranching, you know, critics go to the extreme. They look at how you fatten animals in a lockdown process and make them fat faster, and they sell you the beef. There's documentaries, etc. And they focus on that, and that is
on the mass production,
horrible.
Right?
On the mass production,
absolutely horrible.
In our case, we are on the other extreme. We have open grazing, natural grass beef. What does that mean? They're open. Obviously, you manage the lots, etc. But they chomp off the ground. They chomp. We don't even bale it, right? And that there's no animal damage. Nothing. It's just natural, and the whole thing is natural. So that is the way things should go. And there's a lot of, I think in Latin America, there's examples of these being the case. And then the other thing is the CO2 emissions and the methane emissions. On CO2, actually, cattle ranching, the way we do it, is carbon negative because we absorb more carbon than we emit. Why? Because they eat the grass, it grows, and there's the biological effect. And there's, in Argentina, they did calculations that the carbon footprint of cattle ranching grass-wise is better than the natural forest. We absorb more than a natural forest. Now, the other problem is the methane gas. That is an issue that needs to be addressed. But when you weigh the benefits, global benefits of the methane emissions versus the global benefits of better nutrition, no question. I mean, here in the developing world, in the developed world, Europe, US, etc., the average consumption of animal protein or beef is about 150 grams per person per day on average. On the lower end of the scale, you have Africa with 30, 35, 40 grams per day. In the middle, you have, let's say, China with 90 grams per person per day. That is going to go up.
Yeah.
With all due respect to vegans, it's going to go from 90 to 100 to 110. And the demand for beef will be higher.
Sure.
Not because of suppliers, but because people want better nutrition. When a country has better income, better standard of living, two things happen. People have better housing and better food for their children. So there's demand for grains, demand for beef, demand for this and that. So instead of fighting it, we should just make it better.
Mindful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that going back to your question about the impact, etc., there's a lot of branding, a lot of negativity. And if you look at the prices of the alternative meats, Beyond Meat and fake meat, I don't even know what they're called, they've tanked. I think the fate is over. Okay. But if they want to eat it, that's fine. I mean,
absolutely.
There's room for everyone.
Everybody should have their choice on the matter, and certainly also think for themselves how they want to interact, and look at this. But finally, I see. I mean, You're purpose-driven with what you're doing. You're absolutely mindful of where you stand and how you actually also engage with your products and with the assets. And you have certainly great passion for it. And I can't wait to see you up on stage at AssetRush. And
We'll be ready.
You will be ready, I know. So thank you very much for coming. And we see us both in Geneva again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.